What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the show. If you're new here, my name is Mitchell. In today's episode, I will be talking about why you're single. And I do this YouTube live every Saturdays at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And if you guys do find this video content of value, you guys can show your appreciation by hitting the like, leaving a comment, subscribing, and if you want to further support me, everything is in the description down below. That being said, why you're single. So the recap episode that I'm going to be talking about today is attracting the right person. Okay, it's a episode of do you attract or chase love? Got my cat here. Let me see. Attracting the right person. So attracting the right person is a byproduct of who you are. Is a byproduct of who you are and what you have became or become. This should not feel forced. Meeting someone that has interest in you should be easy and effortless. And it should be a result of why your life is an amazing life. And because if you're not a happy person, what makes you think being in a relationship will make you more happy? I mean, a lot of people like to think that if I get a girlfriend or if I get a boyfriend or whatever, then I'll be happy. It's the same thing with material things. Like if I have X amount of dollars in my bank account, whatever, then I will be happy. But that's not really what it is about. It's about being a happy person in the moment and just being grateful for what you have. So what do you get when you get two excited people who realize they are both miserable in one room? What do you get? I'll let you figure that out on your own. But number one, you must become a good communicator, someone who has a great attitude towards life, positive outlook, where the cup is half full and it's not viewed as half empty all the time. Likes to laugh and have a good time, is emotionally regulated, not easily bothered, a person that handles the lows and knows how to enjoy the highs. So if she's interested, all you have to do is basically not talk her out of her liking you. The reality is that most men, they talk women out of her liking them by over communicating, which usually causes her to back away. And when she backs away, the guy feels like he has to do more in order to get her attention. So what he would do is basically what my coach says, the illusion of action. And by using this illusion of action, it causes her to back away even more, further communicating that, damn, she made the right choice to back away from the beginning. And now, not understanding when to hold back. This isn't a game if you're busy with your life and your purpose. So a lot of people, they don't understand the idea of just being busy, just being able to do the things that you love doing, and just keeping busy for yourself, and not just stay busy just to be busy. I'm not talking about just cleaning out your sock drawer and things like that. But yeah, so string theory, right? You want to be able to generate some sort of tension between you two. Pulling away creates attraction. What's masculine energy? Masculine energy is about purpose. It's about drive, succeeding, overcoming obstacles. Feminine energy is about opening up to receive love. It's about bonding, connecting. It's about dating labels. It's about creativity. The ability for her to pursue you more. That is more feminine energy. And I want to talk a little bit more about why it is always better if she's the one that chases you than you chase her. Because ultimately, like I said in the beginning, that it's feminine energy to bond and to connect. But she has to feel your strength in the beginning. So which means that in the very beginning, the guy has to pursue her. And once he pursues her, she sees the value in the pursuing, and it's she has to feel invested into you in order to feel like she wants to be around you. Otherwise, she's not going to value you, and so that's part of feminine energy. And a man that has to find that balance of pursuing too much versus showing the right amount of desire. And it's really important for a lot of people to understand this concept, because like I said, most guys don't understand, oh, am I doing too much? Am I doing too little? And that usually causes them to be single, and which is why I'm talking about this episode today of why you are single. What's up, Jackie? All right, so the number one most important thing is that why you're single. And as a guy, if you're single, why most guys are single is, especially when you're kind of just starting out, you're starting out and you're dating her, you're dating this woman, it's important to understand that, look, you don't want to get too hung up on just one specific person. And the reason why is because, well, number one, you're not in a relationship, you're not exclusive, so you're not really tied down to only seeing her. You want to date around to make sure who's your best option. So you have to vet your dating prospects. So if you had one, you don't really feel like you have a choice. But if you date multiple women and then you start seeing what are the best option for you, what makes you think you wouldn't want to choose the best option? No one out there is going to want to spend time with someone that they don't feel like that's the best option. So vet your dating prospects. And so when you start dating a woman, you don't get too hung up on just one person. The problem is that a lot of men, they have this, they go on this date with one girl. And once they go on this one date, they feel like they have to lock her down into a relationship as quickly as possible. And the reason why you don't want to do that is because when you do something like that, it communicates that you're not very successful with women and that you're really not that much of a catch. And if you communicate that you're not a catch, it kind of spirals down into, well, is he a needy person? Is he clingy? Is he like desperate to be in this relationship? And in the back of his mind, subconsciously, he's probably thinking like, well, and if I don't lock her down faster, if I don't pursue her more, if I don't kind of lock her down, chase her down right now, she will, one, realize who I really am, and she wouldn't want to pick me as a boyfriend. So I need to do something right now. And instead of allowing her to come to you, he feels like he has to pursue her, which is more feminine. That is more of a feminine type of energy. And that it repulses women when guys do things like that. So to take a step back, what you want to do is you always want to judge a woman based off what she does. So you want to bottom line her actions. If you look at her actions, you want to ask yourself these type of questions like, well, is she reciprocating? Does she have a genuine interest in me, or just trying to get a meal out of this? Is she asking me questions about myself, trying to get to know me as a person? Is that what she's doing? So like I said, you're also vetting to see if she's a good prospect. This will help you put you in a mindset, guys. It will help you put you in a mindset of, I'm looking for someone that's good to me and good for me. I'm not just out here looking desperate. The same thing applies for jobs too. Because you have to understand is that one is no choice, two is a dilemma, three is a choice. And this applies for anything. So whether you're looking for a job, whether you're dating, right? Even when you're like getting quotes from insurance or whatever it may be, as long as you have a choice, then you could choose from. And then when you have a choice, you have a better way of negotiating because you don't feel like you're getting locked down. And so you're vetting if she's good. What's up, Bree? Long time no see. How you doing? I hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Good to have you back. But yeah, you're also vetting to see if she's a good prospect, right? This will help you put you in a mindset. Is she good to me, good for me? You're not looking. So a lot of guys, they get this. No, I'm not sick. I always have allergies around here. So you're not looking at her like, oh, what do you bring to the table? You should be looking at her as, well, do we complement each other? Because if you think about it in this perspective, you're not looking at her like she's a transaction. Like, what do you bring to the table? Been busy trying to find a job, and now I'll be working too. Aren't you still doing the doula thing? So, yeah, my allergies is always. I have 2 cats, soon to be 3. So we'll see. But But yeah, back to back to bottom lining her actions. You always want to see what she's doing. Yep. So three. Hey, you sometimes you just got to do it, right? Especially with the things that you love doing. Yeah. I thought you meant 3 jobs for you. Yeah, 3 soon. Yeah. We get. Can't wait. But also my allergies could wait. So anyways, slide number 2 is like attracts like, right? No, slide number 2 is you don't have anything going on in your life. So like attracts like. People who like the same things tend to like each other. And you may be lacking in an area of your life where you might feel like you do have a lot going on, that on paper you're a catch. On paper don't mean shit. Excuse my language. On paper don't mean shit. All right? But what you're really missing is a good attitude towards life. And a good attitude is usually, well, how happy are you? How fulfilled are you? And the fulfillment part of, and what Tony Robbins says, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. So let's just say you finally found yourself a relationship. You finally found your like dating guru. What's going on? You're like the perfect person to be in here. So, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. So let's just say you find yourself a relationship. Good for you, but then what? Or you finally say like, look, I can't wait till I have X amount in my bank account. So a lot of people tend to ask themselves, once I have a girlfriend, then I'll be happy. Or once I have $1 million, then I'll be happy. Once I get this house, X, Y, and Z, then I'll be happy. But most people, when they have that success, they tend to be, once they arrive, they're kind of like, well, shit, I'm not really a happy person. And so what you really want to ask yourself is like, well, what's missing? And a big part of what is missing is usually your attitude towards it. So the best way to approach that is begin your day with having some sort of gratitude, right? Instead of, reaching over for your phone, like actually spend time and think about, you could think about what you're grateful for. It could be people, it could be your goals that you have accomplished, right? Things, even the simple things, especially the simple things, like just being able to get up and be like, damn, that's a nice weather today. Or like, not a lot of people get out of bed and just walk. What's up, Tracy? How you doing? And so just understanding, just being grateful for the things that you have. And then once you have that, you want to be able to find a way to give generously, because what's going to happen is, regardless of where you're at in your career, you have this mindset of abundance, and it's your responsibility to kind of give back out there too. And this could be in forms of like, money or your time or things that just feels right for you, right? So find something that, you really care about. Time, money, ideally both, and act in ways of contribution. You want to be able to contribute back out there, and this will help you remind yourself that, hey, look, this is how fortunate I am, this is how successful I am, and that's who you really are. And you have to think about it like this, in this perspective, which is giving is pretty addictive. And once you shift from your your mindset of being scarce, this model of scarcity, to abundance, you will feel like this flood of fulfillment. Well, happiness is not consumption. It's about understanding why you are still unhappy. Yeah, and a lot of people, they think like, oh, this is, once I do this is makes me happy. I forgot who said this. There's someone online, so I wish I could quote them. But he said something about being able, like, being happy and being unhappy are two separate things. And a lot of people, they mix that up. So, here's an example. Let's just say you have a job and it takes you 30 minutes to drive to that job. Yeah, for sure. If you were to give that same person, like it takes you 30 minutes to get to that same job, and then now they, maybe you could work from home, or let's just say it only takes 5 minute walk. It only takes you 5 minutes. That doesn't make that person more happy. It just makes them less unhappy, but it doesn't mean that it will make you happier. And so just having great gratitude, and just finding a way of giving back, and just being generous. Because like I said, it's addictive. Being kind, and that's why a lot of people, they tend to lean towards the people that have a better mindset. They're a little bit more positive. They're not always constantly thinking about why the world is going against me. Like instead, they have this mindset of things are happening for me, not to me. And when you feel like you're no longer the victim anymore, you start finding solutions for why your life is the way it is. And then when you find more solutions, usually that kind of translate to, well, am I taking more actions to change my life? And when you're able to start changing your life, people start to see that. And so you create this place for someone to come into your life, instead of trying to force this cube in this circle. Like that's what dating feels like for most people. It does not feel natural. It's because they're not really happy themselves, but yet on paper it seems like they're happy. So my third slide is love being by yourself. Right, there's a little bit more to that, but this is the basic part. So if you're not really excited about your life, it's going to be really, really difficult for other people to be excited about yours. Remember that life and the things that comes with it only amplifies who you are. So if your life is full of misery, having another person come into your life will only magnify that type of misery. And you want to think about, well, even if I am by myself, am I kind to myself? Do you allow negative thoughts to cloud your judgment? Is that what you constantly think about? You are what you consume. Go have a good weekend. All right, Tracy, have a good weekend. Thank you for stopping by as always. So yeah, you are what you consume. If you consume junk, you will have a junk diet in your mind, right? So that's why Jim Rohn, rest in peace, always stand guard at the door of your mind. Every day, stand guard at the door of your mind. So really protect what you're putting in, and that's what you're going to be putting out. And so for a lot of people, when they're watching a lot of movies, how like the guy is chasing this girl, and then out of nowhere, he pursues. And then finally she's like, oh my God, he's been here all along. And then he chases her down at the airport, and finally she's like, you know what, let me just rip up my ticket and not fly and live with you and happily ever after. It's like, well, that doesn't really happen. If I were to live and I would talk and will probably not speak my mind. If I were in life, I would talk and will probably not speak my mind. Put a better way, but I feel like we should talk in a life. Like a dual life, like kind of like if we were having a FaceTime where other people could show up. Is that what you're saying? All right. Well, anyways, let me continue on. Let's see. So, and yeah. So, if your life is full of misery, having another person coming into your life will only magnify that misery. Think about what happens when you squeeze an orange. You get orange juice. Think about what happens when life puts pressure onto someone that has a lot of anger. There's a lot of anger that comes out. So what happens when life puts pressure on you? What comes out? Think about it in that perspective. And so, yeah, if you consume a lot of junk, just, there's no different than consuming junk and putting it into your body. There's no difference if you don't exercise, if you don't allow yourself to exercise and you don't take care of your physical body, what makes you think another person, or what makes you think that it's going you're going to have great outcomes? And so it's quite possibly part of the reason why you may be single still is because maybe you're just not a very exciting person, or maybe that you're kind of boring. You don't really have anything going on for yourself. You don't really have a lot of hobbies. You don't have things to keep you excited. So like I said, if you can't even keep yourself excited, it's going to be really hard to get somebody else excited for you. And so there's an example of like what life is to you. It's let's just say you were an alcoholic. If you were an alcoholic and you were a broke alcoholic, it just means that you just drink cheap liquor and you get drunk. And then you wake up with a hangover and things like that. But let's just say now you're no longer broke. You have money. But you're still an alcoholic, so you still drink until you're drunk. Your hangovers might feel a little bit better, but it doesn't mean that you're no longer an alcoholic. So the main thing is, it's like, well, how are you going to change your mind? What is the one thing that you could do to change your mind? So you have to think about what life is and what is missing and what's causing you to be single, right? Because a lot of people out there might think that they're a catch on paper, or, they might have hobbies. They might have things that they do, but yet they still find themselves constantly single. And so the thing is, it's like, well, I used to have this idea of, damn, like, I might be single. I might not. I don't feel like a catch. And it's like, well, repetition is a mother of skill. Like, I asked you a question, you answered that because I feel like the YouTube live is about me knowing more about you, and life should be like a conversation between you and me. Oh, absolutely. I would love to do that. I used to have more of those lives, but more and more, I'm getting more into just doing slides. And when people do show up, I do answer the questions too. And it's very rare that a dating guru or a dating person would show up. And I love it when they do, because they give very good advice, very sound advice. And I'm not talking about the red pill stuff. So yeah, there's this echo chamber of the red pill. That's a different slide on its own. But I know what you mean. It's about the other people. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. So like here's a personal story, right? So the personal story of mine is, before I used to think like, damn, Mitchell, you're not gonna get anything. No one's gonna really like you. You gotta, so you can share your dating experience. Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is a great one right here. It's perfect timing, actually. So, I stopped fearing, because humans, we have two greatest fears, right? We have the fear of not being good enough, so being inadequate. That's food, all right. And there's another fear of, I'm not going to be loved. So the fear of being inadequate, of not being enough, and the fear of not ever finding love or being loved. And so those are our two biggest fears. And what we know about fear is that if we approach fear and we face fear and we take actions to not be as fearful, we overcome those challenges. Well, I was hoping for a story. Let me think of one as I'm continuing on with this. So, anyways, yeah, like the fear of before, and there was one story, and I shared it a few times, which I used to have this mindset of, because I was cheated on. It is early in the beginning, and when I was cheated on, it was something that I truly thought, I was like, no girls could be trusted, and that all women are like this. And I was like, well, guess what's gonna really happen? Yeah, I was younger though. I was a lot younger. And so I was like, well, what's gonna really happen is I was like, well, if I continue to think about this, I will never find anybody. And I couldn't figure out like why did I think that? It's like, well, I can't let someone's that one person bad judgment or character really change my entire view of this whole, like people are cheaters. It's like I got this stuck in my mind, and I really didn't know. And it wasn't until I started like listening. I started listening to myself. I started reading books. I started educating myself, filling in my knowledge gap, and trying to figure out like what are some of the things that's really blocking me from becoming more successful within myself. And well, number one was I deep down, I really didn't think that I deserved love, because I was like, yeah, I'm not the tallest guy. I wasn't the most, flashy or whatever, because especially when you were younger, you would think things like, oh yeah, this is what I would have to have. I need to have a nice watch. I have to drive a nice car. Like none of those things actually matter. It's who you become. And so little by little, I had to understand like what were some of like the mistakes I've done, and just reading my coach's book, Coach Corey Wayne. Big shout out to you. Just reading his book 5,000 times. That's you. You're the guru. You're the guru. But it's just being able to like accept those losses and just be okay with it and move forward. And then so I felt like I was very fortunate. I felt like I was very fortunate to be able to find something like that, because especially when you grow up, when you were growing up, I didn't grow up with a father. And so when I didn't really have a masculine figure in my life, like a true, and I'm not just talking about a biological male father. I'm talking about like it could have been an uncle. It could have been anybody. I didn't have that true masculine energy that I truly understand from in my life, in order to understand like, hey, you know what? This is what it's like to have someone in your life that keeps you grounded. And so as I was reading the book, it's just little things just keep popping up and just keeps popping up. I don't know, dating guru. I don't know if you ever heard of Coach Corey Wayne, but if you haven't, I would highly suggest, go reading his book. Go read his book. Very, very inspirational guy. I judge a book by its cover. The first time I saw him, I was like, what does he know about relationships? I was like, for real? Yeah. Well, I was completely wrong, and I'm not afraid to admit it. And so, yeah. But anyways, I do have to finish this up because I have can you tell me the name of the book? It's called How to Be a 3% Man. It's a blue. I have the book right there. You want to see it? Let me go grab it. All right. Yeah, it's this book. How to Be a 3% Man. One of the best books, Coach Corey Wayne. And the reason why I like him is because he gives you more of a reason to be better. I feel like there's always two options, right? Most people usually choose the path of least resistance, which is, oh yeah, for sure. Let me know if you need more. But yeah, most people choose the path of least resistance, and it's easier to just be in this echo chamber of bunch of miserable people just thinking about, hey dude, like, yeah, all women suck, all modern women are like this. You need to have a 6-pack, 6 feet tall, and 6 figures in order to get a woman. It's like, no, you don't. Like, I'm far from being 6 foot. Well, not far, but like I'm not that tall, Yeah, of course, yeah. And the choice is would you rather become bitter or would you rather become better? And those are your choices. What would you rather do? And doing nothing is a lot easier, and becoming bitter, that it's an illusion, because all you're gonna do is just discuss about all the things. Yeah, she's right there. She's actually in my room right now. I was doing a live prior to this, and I was asking viewers to ask her questions about what happened, how did it happen, the whole nine, right? So yeah, she's right inside right there, but she doesn't come out. But I do want to make it like a sequel or a prequel or some episodes. Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you. But yeah, highly suggest this. If you are gonna read this, read it minimum 10 times to 15 times. 10 to 15 times, because the reason why. Thank you. Yeah, it's a byproduct. I think that, well, that story that I was gonna talk about before was, I stopped fearing all this. Look, I wouldn't be able to find the right person, or I can't find a job. It's like, well, no, opportunity is always out there. It's how you're looking for it. And so, look, I'm not that tall. I asked her, I was like, look, when you were on your dating apps and when you were, looking for men, when they offer you that filter of height, what was your height filter? And she said, oh, it was 5'7". I'm 5'5". So I was like, you would have never saw me. And so, yeah, like, would it make a guy upset if I heard that? It's like, whoa, damn, like if I was on that dating app, you would. It's like, no, like, I'm grateful for everything that has happened. And look, just because one thing is filtering you out doesn't mean you don't have another chance somewhere else. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of dating coaches, it's either one or two ways, right? It's one that really understands what happens, what pain and hurt, that mess that they got into becomes the message, and just being able to, like, damn, like, hey, if I could do it, you could do it too, right? And so it's the same thing. It's like, well, my coach says, Coach Corey Wayne, shout out. He said that repetition is the mother of skills. Repetition. That's how you become a competent person, a competent man. And that is how you gain confidence. And the number one most attractive thing to a woman is your confidence. And if you're confident within yourself because you're competent with the things that you do, you're not faking all this bullshit. That inner strength is what she feels. So, a lot of guys, they get this misconception of, like, damn, I need to lift heavy weights. I need to make my bank account has to be a big amount. And it's like, no, she would love to see how ambitious you are. She will want you to succeed. And, the purpose of all relationship is to become more than you are, to support each other. And love, if you understand love, what most people don't understand about love is that love is you're allowing the other person to come to you. But now, as a leader in a relationship, right? Notice I said leader, not that, I'm not a tyrant. I'm not a controller, right? I'm a leader. I'm leading my life the way I would love to lead my life, regardless of whoever's in it. And if she wants to follow my leadership, she would, and it's her choice. And I'm allowing her to come onto my ride. And that is what being a great leader is. That is what having this masculine type of energy. And masculine energy, a lot of guys get this wrong too, is they think that they have to be, you have to be assertive, but they misconstrue, like, what's being assertive and what is being controlling. It's like, look, I never control, but I'm like, look, you should do that now. Unless she does something out of pocket and out of hand, I'm like, look, you need to chill out. But besides that, love is allowing. Love is about giving. Be there to give more. Support each other. And part of my masculine energy is becoming this cool, calm, collected, grounded, emotionally regulated kind of guy. How should a guy start a conversation with a girl? I feel like as long as you come off, there's no one word, there's no one phrase. Now, there's certain things that you can say, right? I've seen a lot of successful approaches, and especially even on TikTok. It's like, well, a guy will go up to a girl and be like, it would ruin my day if I did not come up to you and say hi. What's your name? And part of what my coach says is, he says to never give out your name. The reason why is because you want to see her level of interest. And then you can pick up on body languages. You could see whether or not she wants to be away from you. Those are all social cues that you just kind of have to learn on your own, right? And in feel too as well. You're going to start picking up certain cues from a girl. So like if she starts playing with her hair, or if she smiles a lot, watch her feet. Is her feet pointed away from you, or is she pointed towards you? Like those are certain body languages that you could kind of pick up on whether or not she is interested in talking to you. I'll keep the conversation short and then go straight to the point. I'd love to take you out. When are you free? When are you available? And then, in the beginning, the guy pursues the girl. And then after you pursue her, you go on a date. There's 3 H's, right? The 3 H's is you want to hang out, you want to have fun. And then once you're done having those 2, you hook up. And if all you do those, hang out, have fun, and hook up, there's nothing in that book that a guy should ever talk about, well, what are we? What relationship? Where do you see this going? It's like, no, you just this guy, you're just having fun, you're hooking up, and that's it. Just keep it simple. And it's part of feminine energy. It's part of her energy, feminine energy, to come to you. And all you have to do is walk through the door when the door opens to you. So she will start asking you questions. Even my girl, she was like, oh, I wouldn't ask. She was like, yeah, if you didn't ask, like, I wouldn't ask. I was like, nah, I never asked you anything about being in a relationship. Like those are good vetting processes, because if you allow her to come to you, it's natural for a woman. It's feminine energy to bond, to connect, to open up to receive love. And if she's not willing to do that, she's a structured woman, and that's something that you want to be careful about. You don't want to be around a structured woman. Oh, it's like, because it's not normal for them. It's like, think about being on a date and you're both having a great time, and you see genuinely she's having a great time with you, but she has certain rules. She has certain regulations, like, oh, I never kiss on a first date. So keep it casually serious. Is that like 2 words? What do you mean by casually curious? I do have a quote that I do want to talk about though, because today it is alive, but I think this should be more of like a video form. So let me finish this off. Dating. What's your name, man? What's your name? So I could refer you for a name instead of dating guru. Hold on. Let me do 1 second. Raw? Am I saying it right? Raw? Yeah, keep it simple. Like, you're not supposed to take things too serious. It's like you hang out and you have fun and you hook up. So whatever you do, however you make a woman feel, is what she's going to associate those feelings towards you. So if you're there and you're always talking about seriousness. This is what I'm looking for in a relationship. This is like first date. She's just trying to get to know you. Oh, this is what I want. It's like, no, I like to get to know you. See, like, this is a vetting process. You want to ask questions like, oh, what's your relationship like with your parents? And I'm not saying that all women that doesn't have a dad are bad candidates. I'm not saying that. But the data shows that people or women that grew up from broken homes without a masculine figure in her life tends to have bad relationship with other men. Why? Because they don't trust men. And because they don't trust men, they will have this certain story, and this is their belief, and whatever they believe, and they're like, dude, I don't trust guys. All men are like this, kind of like how I kind of grew up. And I was like, and just because I was stung once, I was stung once by a bee. All bees are horrible things, You're from India. I'm from the States, but ethnicity, I'm Chinese. So, yeah, it's like you there's a vetting process. So you want to start asking questions like, she has a great relationship with her dad. And when I met her dad, I was like, very grounded guy, very solid dude, very fun to be around. And it's just, he knows. To me, when I was speaking to him, he's very chill. He doesn't try to take anything too serious, and he keeps his ground, but he doesn't lose his shit, right? And a lot of guys is, they get it twisted too. They think that they could lose their shit and not take shit from other people. It's like, no, you can't lose your shit. But you also want to be a person that doesn't take shit from other people. So you got to put your foot down when you have to, right? Yeah, for sure. Let me hear about your story. As I'm as you're typing it, I would love to talk about what my coach said. Let's see. Okay, so there's a quote by my coach, Coach Corey Wayne. He says that, excuse me, hold on. All right. He says that everyone has flaws, personality quirks, and rough edges that needs to be smoothed out and improved. The more we invest in ourselves to become a better human being, the better friends, lovers, and teammates we will be to other people. Before you can become better, you must first be humble enough to recognize that you don't have all the answers, and you need to improve and get better. Unfortunately, most other human beings you will encounter in your life journey won't be as ready, won't be as willing, and won't be as able or open to self-improvement as you might be. Therefore, after you have gently and lovingly encouraged those in your personal and professional life to treat you differently, but they still refuse to modify their behavior, increasing the distance between them, you and your inner circle is absolutely essential to maintain a drama-free life. Societal, regional, parental, and more intense in India. Okay. Oh, are you from India, or do you still reside in India? All right. Okay. Continue on with you are from India and you still live in India. What's up, Skype? Is it Skippy? Well, as you're continuing this typing, I'd love to hear your story some more. It is not about finding the right person. It is about becoming the right person. So, who do you want to be? What are your goals and what are your values? What do you value? Similar goals and similar values. So values like, what kind of religion do you believe in? Those are certain values, right? What kind of faith do you have? If that's something that's really important to you, that you should have someone that has similar goals and similar values. So in that sense, you got to vet them for their character, right? So if your value is, I want to be a loyal person. I do not want a cheater. You like exclusive, being exclusive. I can't say that word for some reason. Exclusivity, all right? You want to be exclusive. You want to be loyal. You value monogamy and things like that. But then if you bottom line their actions, it's like, well, this person seems kind of promiscuous. They're not exactly what they say that they want. So what you're gonna encounter a lot of times, especially when you're out dating and you're vetting them, a lot of people will tell you things that they want. But if you bottom line their actions, they're not doing that. So a lot of women might say that they want to be in a exclusive relationship, and they value monogamy and they value loyalty, but yet they might have like male orbiters that they constantly keep on their phone, on contact. They're basically male orbiters that sticks around waiting for that one moment that they get. Hey, you know what? Hey, their relationship seems to be falling apart. It's my time to swoop in. And there's always going to be people out there like that. And so it's like, well, you have to vet your dating prospects. You have to see them for who they are. And if they're constantly talking to another guy or whatever, it's rude. It's rude to be in a relationship, especially if that's something that you value, right? So that's why you want to have someone to have similar goals and similar values. And if that is what, but also this too, if that's what you want, you better make sure that's what you have, because you cannot expect another person to have something like that if you don't have that. So it started in 10th standard. I had a crush on a girl and asked my friend to tell her that I wanted to meet her, but my friend betrayed me. He just was stuff to that girl, and it sounds like that guy just wanted her. He probably said all these mean things, unnecessary things to make you seem more worse than you are, and then swoop in. Okay, so yeah. So you're vetting someone for their value, their character, because that's what you value. But you have to make sure what they say and what they do is congruent, whether or not their actions are congruent, what the words are congruent with the actions. Because like I said, a lot of people would say that they value that, but yeah, you turn around, they do something shady behind your back, right? So even if she says those are her values, you have to focus on her action. And if her action is clearly not aligned to what she says, that's someone, like, you got to bottom line that action, and that's what it is, right? So more opportunities starts to show up when you become more, right? You have to, and I love this quote by Jim Rohn. You have to become more, you can have more than you've got because you can become more than you are. So I'm going to say that one more time, right? You can have more than you got because you can become more than you are. And until you become more than you are, you will always have what you got. And so that leaves this blank sheet of hope where you're able, like, you're not a tree. You can move, you could improve, you could do things. And so if you're able to find yourself in this position where, like, well, if I had to choose between becoming bitter or becoming better, which one would I rather choose? Which one resonates with me more? If I don't want to complain, if you find yourself complaining all the time, chances are you're not doing enough to become better. All right, let's see. Raul says, and then the stupid girl is hunting me on the school grounds, finds me in school playground, and she says, say that you are my brother in front of my whole school. Oh, this sounds like when you were like a lot younger, right? Wait, she just. Yeah, like that. That feels like you just got friend zoned. But I would imagine that that was when you were a lot younger, right? Yeah. I mean, embarrassing things as a teen. Come on, like I think those are highlights at this point. No, I'm not sick. I just have allergies and I have cats. So, for real, yeah, big time. I mean, we all done things that we're not really proud of, and I think those are like the greatest building blocks to becoming who we are today. And so, yeah, there's two kitty cats about to be in number three somewhere, and it's not helping. But I can't help it. I like cats, so I had to choose. But anyways, yeah, embarrassing moments as a teen. Shit. Oh yeah, like I think the biggest mistake is not being upfront, trying to be her friend in the beginning. Like damn. And once she finds out how nice I really am, then she will like me. Then she will give me a shot. And it's like, in reality, I mean, because you see that in movies, it's all propaganda. And what my coach says, I got it right here. What my coach says, he was like, if you watch the movie It's a Wonderful Life, the guy, he's a very masculine guy. He goes for what he wants, and he's unapologetic about the things that he does. If he wants to move, he's gonna move. He's gonna do certain things for himself. Why? Because he's a guy willing to lead his own life and not stick around for another person. It doesn't mean you don't make compromises, but here's the thing: you don't compromise what you want to do. You don't compromise core values. There's no compromise, okay? And a lot of women will test you. And when I say test you, it's like, an example is, let's just say you follow this plan. You follow this plan of you go out once a week on dates. Well, why did you stop your videos? What videos? If you're talking about live videos, I've always been doing live videos. Long videos? These are my long videos. It's just live videos. Most of the time it's done live, and I just give dating advice for men. Mostly catered to men. And what I've last was 3 years ago. Let me see. Hold on, give me one sec. Was it my dancing video? No, it wasn't. It might be. I used to do dance videos. I used to do dance covers. Because that was something that I love doing. I still dance to this day, but I don't do like long. Those took time. And I like those because those will always be something that I'm proud of. But in terms of making consistent videos, it's like it's hard. Like, people want to see numbers, and so doing this once a week allows me to, what I like is I get to get people like you that comes in to ask questions, like giving me insight, good criticism to allow me to become better, And there's certain people that come in and they have advice, or they have questions, and I try to give them the answer that I could answer. And I don't answer questions that I do not feel confident in. It's like there's certain people that be like, well, I have a divorce and blah 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 blah, and I'm just like, well, I'm not a divorce lawyer, nor I don't know much about this whole divorce, like the legal actions. I don't give advice on that. But what I would recommend is that you should talk to a divorce lawyer, but also understand that divorce lawyers, what they do is they rack up your time. They rack up your time so they can bill you per hour, so they can make the most out of it. So that's something to consider. So what does it mean if you're not married? You want to be you really want to make sure. And if your value system is, look, I have to get married, this is what I have to do. I have to get married and I have to have kids and I have to buy a house or whatever. Like, these are things that you want to talk about before getting into a relationship, because you want to understand that you're not going to just switch up on me. And people could change their mind, but it doesn't mean that I have to stay in it. So let's just say we communicate it, right? Like, hey, look, I don't care about buying a house. I just want to rent. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, I want to buy a house. And buying a house together is a huge commitment, right? Let's just say those were your values. And if those were your values and you're just like, look, I don't want to buy a house. I want to spend my money and not worry about buying a house, keeping up with the payments and things like that. And I want to travel, right? Dating is very different in terms of culture, but I would say this. Based off my experience and understanding how women feels, women tend to respond the same way. They, some women in different countries might treat you a little different than the one in the States. So from some of my clients, they would tell me certain things like, oh, women from overseas are a lot nicer. They're more traditional. They want to please the man. So it makes them feel wanted. A guy needs to feel like he's needed in order to feel the sense of like, damn, I need to be there for her. To be, like, I don't know. Some guys will feel like, damn, I need to save her. It's not your job to save anybody. What do you think about auto injection? Perhaps the pressure it puts on people. What do you mean by that? What kind of pressure? Yeah, it's different, but it's the same. So what you're gonna find similar is how they respond. So there's two biggest things, Raw, is that when a woman, there's two biggest reasons why most women would break up with a guy. Two biggest reasons. And the two biggest reason is, number one, she does not feel heard and understood. And number two, you stop dating and courting her. If you stop making her feel heard and understood, meaning that she doesn't feel your presence, she doesn't feel your time, she doesn't feel like you're putting in effort in a relationship, she's gonna feel unwanted. And women wants to feel like they're wanted, especially during the time. So it's like, you have to think of women like cats, right? Sometimes they want to sit on your laps. Most of the time they want to be left alone. And when they want to be left alone, you got to let them be. You got to let them be where they want. And then you want to listen to them. You want to make sure that you understand where they're at. And you have to understand that women, Rack, you can use Rack as my nickname. All right, Rack. So yeah, you have to understand that men and women, they solve the problems differently. And when they solve the problems, a lot of women, they solve the problems by talking about things. What do men do when they're upset? Especially when they're upset at her? Well, most men yell. And what I would always suggest is, men that understands women, you don't argue with them. You don't complain. You don't bitch. You don't moan. Because once you do that, what ends up happening is that she's like, wow, whatever you're doing is communicating, is conveying to me that you are more of a bitch. And if you act like a bitch, she's going to treat you like a bitch. And so, although, culturally things might be different, like it might not seem as, like, in certain countries, especially like Asian countries, like approaching women, sometimes it's kind of look like, damn, you're not supposed to do that. But yet, woman still responds to confidence in a guy. And it really depends on the type of energy that you're putting out and as you're approaching them. And so you'd be like, hey, it's very scary. What do you mean? Like approaching women? Or like what do you mean? With all the pressure it puts on. I don't think and back to Skibbity. What do you think of all these injunctions from society? If you're referring to like relationship, I feel like a lot of guys out here now, just in general, there's less masculine men out here than there are more feminine men. And I think the reason why is because a lot of guys, they get the wrong idea, because whatever you consume, that's who you're gonna be. So every day stand guard at the door of your mind. Whatever you put into your mind, that's what's gonna come out. So if you're constantly watching movies and you're getting advice from your friends that watch those movies, it's like, well, what do you think is going to happen with your, like, you're rolling the dice on banking on this relationship. Instead, there's certain rules that you should apply when you're trying to find a woman. And if you're a guy and you're a masculine man, you should be focusing on pursuing her in the beginning, going up to her, approaching her, asking her what's her name, what is she like, what is like, you can ask anything. Especially, think what I find that is the most convenient and easiest to talk about is what's currently happening. So if you see someone, maybe holding a yoga mat or whatever, and you see that, hey, she's into fitness, you'd be like, oh, are you a yoga instructor? Or like, are you going to a class? Oh, what's it, like, be like, how's that class like? And you try to get to know her. What do you feel about it? What do you think? And you get her name, and you talk to her, and then you ask, you'd be like, hey, I'd love to get to know you a little bit more. Like, are you, when's the next time you're free? Are you free this week? Where you from, right? Like, where you from? Okay, all right. So when you ask where you're from, and then you be like, are you from here? Then you can find out whether or not you could, take them out on dates. If they're only visiting, you're like, well, I'm leaving in like 2 days. Then you can be like, well, you know what? I'm always down for spontaneity. I love being spontaneous. And if you're single and you're just like, hey, I want to get to know you a little bit more before you leave, we can stay connected. Let's go. Like, hey, do you like coffee? Or do you like, well, me personally, I don't like coffee. I've seen people talk and say like, hey, do you like coffee? Because some people really just don't drink anything else. Like, they don't drink alcohol, and they only set dates and evening dates, because evening dates is usually what leads to more late night Olympics, if you know what I mean. Things happen a little bit differently at night than it does in the afternoon. So, there's a lot more to it, and so that's why when my coach, like, I can't thank this man enough, honestly. I really can't. Like, I've learned a lot from other people. And if there's one book that I would suggest to you right now for dating and relationships, it's How to Be a 3% Man. Because 3% man is, out of 100 guys, maybe about 3% of these guys will understand women. And men who understands women are loved by women. And so if you want to be a successful person, successful guy, and you want to have fun, and you want to meet your dating prospects, this is the book. Another great book is How to Win Friends and Influence People. Well, my recent research is on love versus environment. Any thoughts? No, I actually haven't. I have not. Well, like, what environment? Like, what they where they live exactly, or the environment that they're in at home, and whether or not it affects who they are as a person. Is that what you mean by environment? I have about 5 more minutes before I dip out. Good, we're gonna go out. We're gonna do some things together, and yeah. So if I were to give any advice, always date your woman. Okay, you don't have to spend a lot of money to date. You don't. this is this is after she's your girlfriend. You don't have to spend a lot of money. What you have to do is we want to make sure that you're going out. You think girls are complicated to understand? It's only complicated. I know this might sound cliche. It's only complicated if you feel like it's going to be complicated. You just have to understand that men and women speak different languages. Yeah, for sure. If you want, if you raw or rack, if you want to talk a little bit more, I have a TikTok, I have a Instagram as well. So it's all under the same tag, Mr. Mitchell Tang. So yeah, men and women speak different languages. And so you have to understand it's like, well, whatever you make her feel, that is how she's going to associate with you. And so by understanding women, by understanding what her interest is, understand you and I'm a girl. No, I didn't mean it like that. Like, say for example, if you were upset, right? Like I know my girlfriend, okay, my girl, she's in that room, and the thing is, when she's upset, most guys. So when I talk about language, this is the language I'm talking about. I have to speak womanese, right? When she's upset, when she's bitter about certain things, right? I have to understand, like, okay, sometimes when she's upset, I just gotta sit back and be like, hey, what's going on? What's on your mind? Talk to me. And the best thing that you could do, the best thing that you could ask when she is upset is like, I love to know why you're upset, or why you're upset at me, or what's going on, what's on your mind. So she could tell you everything. Women solve problems by talking about things. Men like to be left alone. They like to be in their room, their cave, or whatever you want to call it. And once we figure it out, we will come back out. But other women take that as a rejection. It's like, no, I'm not rejecting you. I just need time away so that I can solve my own problems. And so what ends up happening is that a lot of guys, they want to solve a woman's problem. And when the guy tries to solve her problem, she's not trying to have you solve her problem. What she really wants is for you to listen. And so when I understand that, and that language that she's speaking, I have to take a step back and be like, okay. And then I ask more questions, because the more questions I ask, the more she's going to tell me. And see the stars as well. I wish there was a little bit more stars. Where I'm at, there's not a lot of stars. Too big of a city, too many lights, 0 stars. But it's okay. I understand. We go out on dates, we have fun, we hold hands. And I mess with her sometimes. And love is playful and fun. It's never too serious. So like when is next time? I do like pollution. Yeah. So I do lives every Saturday. So I'm always here every Saturday at 12 p.m. Pacific time. I don't know what time it is over there in India, but subtract an hour and 15 minutes, I will always be here. Okay, whatever time zone you're at. Not all girls act like this. Most women needs to be heard. Most women needs to be heard and understood. And a lot of guys, where you have to understand that us guys, we tend to like to fix things. Because why? Men are very focused on being efficient. And so when things are bad, we try to fix it. But in order to understand what fixing means, it means that we have to not do anything. And telling a guy to not try to fix something when something is wrong is really difficult. And so for me, I have to learn to understand, like, hey, you know what? She doesn't need fixing right now. What she really needs is for me to listen to her so she could solve her problems. And, if I was part of that problem, I could readjust that. I was like, so there's certain things. And so, like, there's things that you can do. There was something that we had a disagreement about. Okay, I'm gonna explain this and then I'm gonna end it. So there was something that we had a disagreement about, and then I forgot exactly what it was. It was a while ago, but she was like, I didn't like. What did she say? She said, I didn't like how you said it. I think that's what she said. I didn't like how you said it. Oh, I remember what it was. She was like, I didn't like how you said it. And then I had to ask her more questions. I was like, what do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean? Like, how did I say it so that I don't say it again? And she was like, well, you put me on the spot when you said this. And, I was like, oh, okay. So it's, you didn't, I made you feel this way when I said this. But, basically in my defense, I don't think I was being rude when I said it, but I think we're missing that one part of the timing that I said it. It was said in front of my mom, and that's something that put her on the spot. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, no, I apologize. Like, that's something that I could change. If you want me to tell you something, just don't say it in front of her. So if I could have just waited 5 minutes later and my mom was gone, I could have just told her. And I was like, yeah, that's something that I've said. But, and then we got an understanding, and we had this understanding. I was like, it's not how I said it. I was like, because if it's how I said it, I don't think I said anything wrong. I didn't say it in a bad tone. It was a bad timing. So I was like, I could change that. If that's something that, that made you feel uncomfortable, I was like, I'm sorry. I could change that time, the timing of it. And, I pull you to the side and say next time, instead of saying it in front of her, even though she didn't understand it. My defense, I was like, my mom wouldn't understand it, but whatever. Still, it made her feel uncomfortable. And my goal as a man is to make her feel safe and comfortable around me. So if that's my goal, I want to make sure that, hey, you know what? If that's something that I could change, absolutely. But I was like, if I did say something and that was mean and I had a tone and I was passive aggressive, I was like, that's something that I could change too. But I was like, I don't think I said that. I'm usually really calm about things because I really do focus on, how men that understands women don't argue with them. Mom versus lover politics is everywhere. We have to talk a little bit more. Raw or rack. No, I appreciate you. I appreciate you a lot. Yeah, interesting. Okay, George, say hi. I think you have a great channel. I appreciate it. Thank you. And I have subscribed to you. Well, let's be good friends. All right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate your time. Appreciate you asking great things, giving me good criticism as well. But I do this live every Saturdays at 12 p.m. Pacific time or 3 p.m. Eastern time. All right. So Bree, always glad to see you here. You've been here since day one, so I really appreciate you. And I'm always down for meeting other great people too as well. So I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right. Take it easy, be safe, and have a great weekend.